You're listening to the Teach Better Talk podcast featuring expert educators eager to share progressive tactics to reach more students. Teach Better Talk is created by teachers and fueled by passion. Let's get started.
Hey everyone, welcome to episode 264 of Teach Better Talk podcast. My name is Ray Hewart, and as always, Jeff Gargis is here. We have quite an episode in store for you guys. I really liked this guy.
This was a fun one. I kind of feel like we should have done a video for the whole thing.
Yes.
But as I say that out loud, and I'm like, yeah, but he'd probably be a lot better on video than both of us, so maybe we shouldn't.
He would have made us look bad.
That's kind of what he does. So I mean, maybe it's better we didn't.
Well, I think maybe he's somebody we need to bring into the Teach Better world and have him do. I mean, we're practically live like every moment of the day, so I think he should
train all of us on how to be better live. Ooh, okay, all right.
I'll be writing that down and taking that suggestion to heart. Let me tell you,
I like where this is going.
This is good.
I like where it's going.
Anyway, before we get to the episode, Jeff, we are on the last week of a series that our audience has been begging for, and I just feel like we need to remind them that this is the last week.
Yeah, and it's been a heck of a series.
I know.
Yeah, it was highly called for, asked for, demanded.
Demanded.
And so it's been going on for several weeks now, and that's the Focus on the Focus series with David Schmittou and Caitlin Giordano. And yeah, so this is coming out on the 10th, which means 2 days from now on the 12th. That's the last one. And that is 7 o'clock Eastern. Am I right?
Yeah, so it's at 7 o'clock Eastern. It's been at 7 o'clock Eastern for the past few weeks. Every single Wednesday is when that series is going on. They actually missed last week, which is Teacher Appreciation Week, because, guys, we were live every single day. Some days we were live 2 or 3 times.
We didn't miss it. We chose not to do it. Like, I didn't mean Dave and Caitlin didn't show up or something.
No. I mean, like, we intentionally paused and took a week to celebrate.
Every week.
Yes, and actually Caitlin spoke on grading that Monday, a part of Teacher Appreciation 7-day live series. So again, we are excited for this last week. It's going to be a really in-depth Q&A this week. So I'm excited for Dave and Caitlin to actually welcome on a few surprise guests. And they are going to be taking questions, not only from the audience, but also from these incredible people that will be joining them, and really just digging into grading practices kind of for the last time in this series. And then, Jeff, it will be saved for eternity in the Academy.
And that's the best part. That's something newer that we're doing now, is when we do these live series that we're streaming on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Twitch. Yeah. When we wrap up the series, we're putting them into a free course in the Academy, so you can always go and get them. We just launched the free course that has all 15 segments from the 12-hour live that we did on April 24th. So that's all in the Academy now. It's free. If you're an Academy member paying the monthly, it's already in your My Courses dashboard. If not, you go over to teachbetteracademy.com. It's a free course, so you can get it for free, just like this one, that's the Focus on Focus, which will be out shortly after it finishes up too. Yes, you have your hand up, Ray.
I'm sorry. Did you just say that we finally did the thing that everyone's been asking for us to do for the stupid 12-hour live, which is after 12 hours of PD, where literally we invite educators from around the world to talk shop? You actually went in and cut up every segment put in the Academy?
Yeah, here's the crazy part. So you had to, download the entire stream and then cut it up into the segments. Some of them were half hour, a lot more hour. And the problem is I cut them all up, edit them all, exported them all, and I'm uploading them to the course site. And then I find out that the hour-long ones were just slightly too big of a file. So I had to cut those. So those became 2 parts. So there's actually there's 15 segments in the course, but there's probably 23 videos all in all. I mean, it's 12 hours worth of content again.
Well, so is this a dumb question? Is it all labeled so you could literally go watch 2 o'clock segment on specific area?
If you've ever been in our Academy, things are broken up in lessons, right? And segments. And so each lesson is one of the segments. So whether it was a half hour or hour, doesn't matter. So it's all right down the line in the same order that it was on that day. So you could jump in there and just watch, because maybe you just want to go and watch Kim Bearden, you and Kim talking. Yeah. Or you just want to catch, for some reason you want to watch Brain Break again for an hour. I don't know. or you want to catch Kevin Butler or check the one just, when we talk about equity or whatever it might be. So you can go back and do it. Same thing with the Focus on Focus. You may have just missed 1 week or really loved 1 week and you want to go back and hear it again to let your brain go again to generate new ideas. You can do that in the free course.
So because we talk to our podcast listeners like they get the inside scoop, real talk, the reason these series are now intentionally becoming free academy courses is because we're sick of all of you telling us that you can't find the videos because all the videos are streamed. Anytime they're streamed on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch, they're saved there for you. But it's really hard with all the content, with all the videos, with all the media to sift through and find the specific video from a specific day, maybe a week ago, maybe 6 weeks ago. So we really are trying to make your lives easier. We really are listening to you. And so if you're an Academy member or not, they're just free courses, guys. We just want to make it an easy spot for you to catch all 5 of the videos. So that's why I
want to clarify that when Ray says that we're sick of you asking for it, what she's trying to say is that it's not that we're sick of you. We're sick of you having to not be able to find it. We don't want you to have any stress or any struggle to go find it. Just go to the Academy now. It's going to all be there, and that way you can get it.
Okay, but do you know how many times somebody will message me?
It's all the time.
Oh my God, they message me on Facebook or they'll tag me in a comment being like, Ray, help, I need this video. And then I'm the idiot looking through my phone scrolling and scrolling. I know it's here. The
best place to go for most of that, just so people who are listening know, is going to be the YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Which we're at Teach Better Team there. The catch is when you go into videos, sometimes YouTube's weird, and even if we mark it the right way, you can see uploaded versus live. So if it was a live video, you have to click on the live tab, and it'll show you all the past live videos, so you can go find any of those too. But
again,
series and stuff like this, bigger things, they're going to be in the Academy too. So
it's way easier.
Academy.com for that.
Yeah, we're live too much, Jeff. I think that we should cut that out. Seriously,
I think we should go live more.
I'm sorry. What?
Speaking of being on live TV. That's sort of that's our guest's background, and we're gonna let him talk more about it. But Clement Townsend is he had some quite a bit of experience being on camera, legit, live to the world broadcasting,
live to the world.
And now he's taken that experience, that passion, that love that he has for that, and he's putting it into helping educators in schools get students those skills and those opportunities. And I love there were a couple times where I tried to get a tip out of him, but his tip kept coming back to helping students become the creators and utilizing it as another form of another way that we can assess knowledge and drive that. So I really love the way he looks at things. I love his passion. He's just a nice guy. I think he needs to come, like we've already said, and maybe train us all how to be better on camera. But that's what I got, Ray. I know you're a fan. I think at one point you actually say that you fangirled out, so we're going to go into it with that. I might even let you defend yourself. We're just going to say Ray fangirled out.
I did.
It's okay. She admitted it live on the podcast.
Guys, he watched my TED Talk. It was so
cool. All right. With that, let's get into episode 264 with Clement Townsend.
Hey everyone, it's Ray. We'll be right back to this episode, but I want to make sure that if you are a Teach Better Academy member, we just launched another course. You guys already are aware that we launch a course in our Teach Better Academy about every 30 to 40 days. And we just launched a brand new one here on April 12th. The new course is called Using Social Media to Grow Your Network. And it is all about not only getting you logged onto the platform, but truly understanding your mission and how you're communicating your why from everything from your profile picture, your bio, and the tweets and messages that you send out. If you are already a Teach Better Academy member, the course is already located in the queue. But if you're not a member yet and you're not sure if paying $9 a month is something that you want to be a part of, you can always join in on the course on your own by buying it outright over in the Academy. So I will meet all of you over in our brand new course, Using Social Media to Grow Your Network at teachbetteracademy.com. But let's get back to this episode.
All right, we are here. We're chatting with Clement Townsend. And Clement, it's awesome to talk with you. We're already chatting a little bit, having a good time already. I'm excited to kind of get into your story and background, what you do, and to share that with our listeners. But before we get too far into things, man, how are you feeling right now?
I'm feeling really good. Excited to be on with you all.
We're going to have such a blast. As we get into it, I want to make sure our listeners get to learn all about you. So would you mind answering kind of that silly question of, hey, could you try and list everything you do? Good luck.
Wow, try and list everything that I do. So I would say I'm a media mentor for youth. And what does that mean? So certainly I work with students and I also work with teachers training youth in the media process. And when I say media, that specifically means videos. So I have online programs. I work with schools in person, or maybe I guess say pre-COVID in person. Also, I have a book, How to Become a Broadcasting Star. And certainly just have an organization and a company that really hones in on youth getting that media training, because as we know, media is such an integral part of our society right now. I was in the media field for 17 years. So I was on television in various markets around the country, had a chance to do some really cool things. And I just really saw a gap or a void that I felt like I could fill. And it was something I was passionate about relative to media and youth. And that brought me to where I am today.
All right, I got a few different questions, so we'll see which way we want to go first. I want to hear about the book because, I want to know, what does it take to be a media star? Ray always asks me all the time, like, hey, how do I become a TV star? So
every day I ask Jeff Curtis that. I'm like, Jeff, I have to know.
So I want to hear about the book, and I wouldn't mind hearing where you've been as well. But let's talk about the book. Tell me about the book, like that obviously could hit a very wide audience. When you wrote the book, who were you gearing that towards? Was that towards students, or was that just towards anyone who has this interest in getting into video media?
That was towards youth. So part of my journey, and as we get into it, when I was on television, I would meet a lot of young people, teenagers, maybe middle schoolers, and they would say, I want to do what you do. How can I be on television? How can I go to really cool events? How can I get paid to do that sort of thing? So that was like my first venture into trying to help youth get their leg up, get a start, learn what it takes to get in the media field. And at that time, specifically broadcasting. Certainly now I've broadened out my reach and some of my offerings and how I try to help young people. But I really have always had a passion for trying to help the next generation, trying to connect with young people, trying to put them on a path to success. So that was kind of like my first venture into doing that sort of thing.
And so what was your role when you were in the industry for 17 years? You're on TV, on screen and stuff. What was your role? Were you an anchor? Were you a newscaster? Were you in entertainment? What was your role?
So I was in sports. So okay. A little bit about my story. I wanted to go to the NBA like a lot of youth that I meet. Unfortunately, I didn't get the height, Jeff and Ray. I wasn't tall enough. So my parents were both educators. My mom was a teacher. My dad was an administrator. They said you need to have another plan. So I figured I see people talking about sports. So if you can't play sports, what's the next best thing? To maybe talk about it, go to the games and get paid. So I was on television as a sports anchor in San Angelo, Texas. I also went to Mobile, Alabama, to Lynchburg, Virginia, and then back to my hometown of Chicago. It took me 17 years to do that. While I was in Mobile, that's really close to New Orleans. So I had a chance to go to the Super Bowl, NBA All-Star game, multiple college football national championships. For anybody that's into sports, certainly Alabama and Auburn football is big there. NCAA basketball tournament, just some really cool stuff, had some really cool experiences. But I always met youth and young people that was like, how could I do that? I don't know anybody. I don't know the path. I don't know the road. And certainly it was difficult for me at first to try to find my footing. So I always try to help young people have information that I wish I had when I was trying to learn the trade or learn the career field.
So let me ask you, and this is super interesting to me right now, is if I'm a teacher listening right now and I'm going, oh, like I know I got students in my classroom that are thinking the same thing. And I'm not, obviously we're not going to go through the whole book, but I'm looking for some of the secret sauce recipes here. Like, right? Like, how do I help my students? How do I put them on the right path so that they can chase this dream, chase this avenue, and try to go be on TV, on television, whether that's, doing sports, doing weather, doing radio, whatever it might be. Like, how do I start my students on there? How do I give them the opportunity to explore that?
And I'm glad, Jeff, that you said whether it's doing sports, doing weather, or whatever it might be, because certainly now with the internet, YouTube and Facebook Live and some of those other platforms and things of that nature, where I wanted to be in sports, it could be a student who wants to be in fashion or politics or finance. So the opportunities are so vast because of the internet and technology. So I would say one of the first things that they really want to try to help a student or a young person do is really work on their speech and really work on their communication skills. And that's something that could be done in English. That's something that could be utilized in history and science when it comes to videos and things of that nature, because certainly we live in a society, if it's YouTube or whatever video mechanism, because again, when I think of media, I think of video. How does a student speak in terms of the tone that they use, the pacing that they use, the diction that they use? So really trying to get that student to pay attention to their communication, their public speaking. And I think that's really like the first step. And young people have such an advantage because they have phones. I didn't have a phone back when I was in middle school or high school. I would have to have a tape recorder to actually work on my speech. I'm dating myself. I actually probably had a tape recorder from Radio Shack, and I would have to read something, record it, and play it back. Well, now with the phone, certainly you can record yourself on your phone and listen to it. So that gives students an advantage. How can they really improve their speech? That's so key. That's so critical. And I don't know if a lot of people are really out there emphasizing just how important that is to move into media.
Super important. I love that. Thanks. I appreciate that. It's a, I don't want to say simple because it's not a simple process, but such a simple tip of a little something you can do now to start setting those kids up so they can go through that pathway. Where can we find a book? Where's the best place for people to go?
I would say Amazon. How to Become a Broadcasting Star. Amazon for sure.
There you go. All right. I want to go into my favorite question, which is when we talk about and share a story of failure. So I'm hoping you could share a story with us from a time that you've had a failure that you've had to overcome. Kind of take us there with you. What happened? How did you overcome it? Then what did you take away from that experience?
So, Jeff, I would go back to 2018. And so a little bit of my story, I always wanted to make it on television in Chicago. And it took me 14 years to get there. And then after 3 years in Chicago, I got laid off. So I was at a turning point, a pivot. So a few friends and I decided we were going to do a sportscasting camp because, you know, that was what I knew. That was what I was familiar with. I felt like I knew youth were into that sort of thing. So 2018, some friends and I, we were trying to put a camp together. We had some speakers. We were getting a venue, thinking about food and lining all these things up. We invested a lot of money, connected with a lot of schools, just trying to let their students know we were going to do it in the summer. And it didn't work out. We had some interest, but we didn't start early enough. It was, we didn't know about marketing, and it was just our first venture into it. One friend dropped out, so it was just two friends and I, but we put money into it that we couldn't get back out. We had enough interest, but not enough to move forward and really actually pull it off. So we had to pull the plug. We had to tell the people that signed up that we weren't going to do it. And I felt like an absolute failure because that was something that I really, I guess, stepped out on, something that I was passionate about doing, my other friend as well. And it just did not work, and it just failed. But through that process, though, that is when I connected with some administrators, and they said, hey, what you're trying to teach these youth, what you're trying to teach some of these young people, that might be something good for schools, just in terms of reporting aspects or hosting aspects, interviewing aspects, speaking aspects. So had I never ventured out to trying to do this camp and failed and did not work, I may have never even been doing what I'm doing right now with educators and administrators and really trying to help teachers across the country. So it wasn't a failure. It was actually a lesson, or should I say it wasn't even a loss. It was actually a lesson. And so many people say you can learn so much in a failure and fail forward. I mean, that's just a story that I can really attest to. That is so true. You know, it's worth it to fail. And that's just a part of the learning process for a lot of people in terms of getting to where they would like to go.
Okay, I want that on a bumper sticker. It's worth it to fail, people. It's worth it to fail. That's awesome.
Absolutely.
It's such a powerful message for all of us to remember. I mean, geez, even right now, I mean, every teacher I've been talking to for the past few weeks has been stressed and feeling overworked. And, you know, we've discussed already on the podcast, I know, but like the countdowns have begun, and we're trying to ensure that teachers are still taking risks and taking advantage of the time that we have. And I love this. It's worth it to fail. Try something new, guys. It's worth it. I love that idea. So tell me a little bit. I know that you are obviously doing a lot and your passion just exudes out of you. Like when you speak, I mean, Jeff and I always joke that we have guests that come on and a lot of them like ooze passion, which I can just tell in your storytelling. This is clearly an idea that drives you. But if you had to pinpoint kind of like really what's keeping you excited about education right now and everything you're doing, what would that be?
Ray, I would have to say just seeing students succeed in the classroom using video in terms of giving them another way to display their understanding of what they're learning. So if it's an English class, it doesn't just have to be a paper or something they turn in on Google Docs, but now they can do something about Shakespeare or Macbeth by doing a video. Some students might not necessarily be competent in, the writing aspect, but as I mentioned before, if they could present and narrate and do a video, they can still show that they have mastery of the topics they're learning. I'm just so excited about the technology, what we've seen because of the pandemic, and there has been more of a move to schools being one-to-one and so many more students having access to devices. I mean, I've seen students who have had less than ideal situations at home and things going on, in their personal life at home, but still finish videos. They still see how relevant this is. It kind of bridges the gap. Oh, okay. I can actually, take something about history and do some video and add my favorite song or my favorite beat, my favorite instrumental. And this is actually learning as well. So just seeing the evolution of what's happening in education and students really, getting that engagement, being engaged, super excited about that right now.
No, absolutely. And, at first I think we were thinking we were being thrown into this, and now it's been beautiful to see educators embrace that and really celebrate in the classroom. So if you had to give one piece of advice, and really this could be advice about anything or advice about utilizing video, whatever fits best for you, whatever feels right, I'd love to share one key piece of advice with educators. What would you like to share?
Wow, that's a really good question. I would say be okay with learning with your students. Again, both of my parents were educators, and I work with a lot of educators and connect with a lot of schools. And I still think there can be that thing of I'm the teacher, it's a certain sense of power that comes with being the teacher, and I'm expected to know it all. And if I don't know it as the teacher, I don't want to branch out into that because it might be uncharted territory or something that I'm not comfortable and confident with. So as it pertains to video, maybe not necessarily knowing every single thing about how things should be edited or maybe how everything works, but still gaining some type of knowledge to get the ball rolling, to get things started. And then as the students learn and you learn for some things, not every single thing, but just being okay with learning together so students can now play an active role in the learning process and not feeling like, well, if I don't know everything about this certain tech device or app or website or process, I don't want to do it. So students won't be limited by a teacher's capability if a teacher is okay with learning along with their students.
Oh, I love that. I love that advice. I'm going to ask you for another piece of advice because this was striking me, and I'm curious. So, we know a lot of educators in our world, even pre-COVID, we're getting into video. We're on video, creating videos for their students, creating videos to share with their colleagues, utilizing that as a form of professional development. Even more so, obviously, over the last year because of being on Zoom constantly or Teams or whatever it might be. For those that maybe are still potentially struggling with how they feel on camera, the confidence they have there, or maybe that are looking now to do more video lessons for the students in the future, or maybe getting into creating videos for YouTube and training and stuff like that. What's a piece of advice you'd have specific to that, to a teacher who is in the creative mode of creating videos themselves? What's a good one or two pieces of advice that can help pretty much anyone improve their video game?
I would say, number one, it's simple, but it's just what it is. You just have to try it. no one is great at anything they do the first time. So just kind of getting over that fear of how will this work? What I create, my product, what will that look like? Maybe do a YouTube video and put it on private and just, see what it's like, or share it with some colleagues and see what they have to say before actually, showcasing it to your students, that sort of thing. I mean, certainly I have a sports background, but athletes have to practice their free throws, or football players have to practice their routes. Singers need to practice their song. I mean, they don't get it right the first time before they put it on an album. They have to do it time and time again before it's recorded right and they release it. Also, I want to just, add this in, Jeff, too. What I'm really intentional and emphasize as well is allowing the students to be video creators. So that's one area that I really feel like is lacking. A lot of teachers, or some, I won't say a lot, but many teachers have started to create videos for their students, but it's flipping it and letting the students now be content creators. So taking something about math and fractions and using a whiteboard and potentially adding pictures to it and some music and turning that in. Or in a history class, taking something, if we're talking about Neil Armstrong, instead of, writing something, or we're talking about laws that were handed down, instead of writing or whatever type of paper they might do, actually allowing the students to create videos, to do the research like they would do for any curriculum unit or project, to actually write it out. And now they voice it. Now they add visuals, they add music, and that gets them excited because they can see, oh, I'm making videos in class. It's like learning to them, but maybe not learning as much. So I also wanted to add in that piece too, in terms of, yes, teachers should try it, and you only get better by doing it. But also, I really like to emphasize that's where I really provide my expertise. The teachers might not know how to do it, but getting their students to participate in the content creation, because that can display, they can now display their understanding. And it's another tool for teachers to assess what students know, aside from maybe just some of the regular or conventional forms. I think I've heard Ray say before, some of the ways that teachers teach is kind of like in the dark ages. So really using this video piece from students creating to really help along that evolution and innovation in terms of education.
Okay, I just totally fangirled that you totally just quoted me. That was the coolest thing ever.
All right. I love that. That was awesome. All right, let's keep having some fun here. I'm going to throw the next 6 questions at you, and your goal is to answer each one in 15 seconds or less. You ready to go?
I think so.
All right, what is one EdTech tool or tech tool that you can't live without?
WeVideo, huge in terms of easy to use for students, teachers, and editing videos for projects.
Give us a book you're reading right now.
I would say Grace Over Grind by Shae Bynes. Certainly the world can have a hustle and bustle connotation and a hard work connotation. But when you work by grace, you can accomplish a lot more, and you're not necessarily trying to do it in your own strength.
Who do we need to follow on Twitter or Instagram today?
Ken Shelton, super influential in terms of technology and equity. Really like what he brings to the table. And also John Spencer in terms of the creative classroom, just really innovative, fun ways to engage students, and just a different lens provides just a great perspective on how to maybe have a little fun in the classroom while still educating the students.
What's a good YouTube channel, website, or podcast for educators to check out?
I think I might need to hurry up, Jeff. I don't know if I'm doing this in 15 seconds.
You're doing good, man. You're all right. You're doing all right.
I would say George Kuros, Innovator's Mindset. He has a great podcast that he does on YouTube, and obviously it's on all the podcast platforms as well.
Give us a daily, weekly, or monthly routine every teacher should get into.
Daily gratitude. I'm huge on the attitude of gratitude, just being thankful for some of the little things, family, health, some of the things we might take for granted. Weekly and monthly, both of those. I would say unplugging. We live in such an information age, and we can be inundated. And I know you all love Twitter, and I'm a fan of Twitter as well and social media, but it can be so much information. Sometimes it's just good to detox and unplug on a regular weekly or monthly basis.
What's the best piece of advice you've ever received?
I would have to say life is 10% what happens to you and 90% how you react to it. So I know that's a quote. I don't know if somebody told me that or somebody just told me the quote, but wherever the case may be, things are going to happen that are outside of your control, and there's nothing you can do about it, but you can control your reaction and, how you proceed and how you act according to what took place. I just think that's just so key for educators and students as well, for everyone.
Well, and it's such a great reminder. Sorry, Jeff, go ahead.
No, you say I was going to do a joke. You're talking actual quality. Why don't you go first?
I know, it's confusing for you, Jeff. That happens all the time. See, I always add in the value and then you ruin it for the episode.
Exactly.
But,
yeah, well, I've already ruined it here.
Like people need that reminder. I know that it's a quote. I've heard it 100 times, but it never gets old. Every time it causes me to pause, sit back and say, yeah, I need to focus more on that. Life is 10% of what happens to you and 90% how you react to it. I love that. So good. Jeff, do you have a bad joke you want to add in here?
No, it wasn't really a bad joke. I was just going to let Clement know that I wasn't timing you, so I don't know whether you hit the 15 seconds or not. All I know, though, it was stellar, so I don't even care. It was great. I love the answers. So if Ray wouldn't have thrown out all the trophies we had, I'd be giving you the Teach Better Talk trophy, but Ray threw them all away. So
that's not true.
I was looking forward to that. I mean, you mean I don't get a trophy? That was one of the perks that I was looking forward to.
I don't know. I don't know what it was. Several episodes ago, I broke hearts and minds all over by informing everyone that there's never really been trophies. It's always been a joke.
No.
And I think we lost 60 to 75% of our listeners at that point. And a lot of people were very angry. But yes, that's unfortunate. But if it was still here, you would get it. That's what I'm trying to say.
I've seen a petition going around on the internet that people are trying to, kind of create some uproar that there needs to be a Teach Better Talk trophy. I couldn't agree more, guys. I'm signing the petition twice. That's all I'm saying. Jeff, can I forge your name on that?
Sure. Why not?
Why not? Why not? I don't think I've ever forged your signature, but it's totally something I would try and do to get away with something. Anyway. Well, I do want to make sure our listeners can stay connected to you. I know we've been connected, Instagram and Twitter and everything else, but I do also want to make sure they visit your website and just all the things that you're doing. So do you mind sharing how people can stay connected?
Absolutely. The website would probably be the first method that I would recommend. www.videojournalismpro.com, www.videojournalismpro.com. And when folks go there, they get a free resource, 10 ways students can create better video content and create a better life. Because I truly believe once students start to learn some of these transferable skills, it not only helps them in their education, but it helps them in their life. So check out the website to get the free resource. I'm super active on Facebook. C Townsend TV, C my last name Townsend TV, Instagram as well, and also LinkedIn. And you can catch me sneaking around on Twitter every now and then as well. That's Clement TV _.
And you can find all the links and all the resources and everything we mentioned in this episode over at teachbetter.com, as well as those really important links for connecting with Clement and keeping this conversation going. So make sure you head over to teachbetter.com for all of that. Be sure to hit subscribe so you don't miss any upcoming episodes. And if you can give us a rating and review, we'd really, really appreciate that as well. Let's keep taking this one step further. Think of just 3 of your colleagues who need to hear these amazing stories and connect with these amazing educators, and just share this podcast with them. Clement, this has been an awesome episode. I'm super excited for everyone to hear it, to take the value away from it, hopefully connect with you and keep learning and growing with you. Just really appreciate you taking some time and hanging out with us tonight, man. Thank you.
Thank you for having me on. You all do such a great job. Keep up the good work.
And until next time, let's get out there and let's teach better.